Dear viewers, we have with us Gul Panag, a woman of many parts, former Miss India, an actor, an activist, a politician, licensed pilot. Uh, and am I missing out on something, Gul? You name it, and she's all there. All right. And now she'll be wearing the advocate's coat. Am I correct? In Good Bad Girl?
Yes.
Yes. So, how, first of all, tell me a little about your part in the series and how does it feel to be playing a lawyer?
Well, to be playing a lawyer after just getting my own LLB degree is quite a surreal moment. I had just finished my law degree last year
Okay.
when I was reached out to for this part. And I thought there was a sign from God that I've just spent 3 years doing my LLB and I get a call to play a lawyer, and that too from Vikas Pahel's team. So yes, it was a wonderful moment. It's a great part. I play Zaina Mistry, who is the managing partner of this law firm, Mistry and Mistry, who has to manage, among other things, the rivalries at her law firm, the politics of her law firm, and the interpersonal complications that arise as a result of being in a large firm. So that's really what Zaina Mistry does. The show is edgy, in my opinion. It has the potential to redefine the genre of women headline shows. And I think Maya is absolutely fantastic, played by Samriddhi Diwan.
And yours is, I believe, the voice of reason.
Among other things, yes.
Yeah. So, but do you think that voice is missing out in our real lives as of now?
Well, I think there's no two ways about the fact that the ability to voice an alternative opinion, to voice an opinion that may not necessarily be conforming to the idea of the wave or the current or the tsunami is shrinking. And if that's called not having the voice of reason, I mean, who knows? Ultimately, reason or the lack of is subjective. What we consider maybe somebody else's definition of absolutely unreasonable behavior. So there are always two sides to every coin. The danger, however, arises when we just want to look at one side of the coin.
And the lead part, Maya, she tells a lot of lies, right?
Yes, she's very frugal with the truth.
And being part of Vikas Bell's production, who has given us some empowering films like The Queen. How has been the experience of being part of his production?
As I said earlier, I think this show, Good Bad Girl, has the potential to redefine the way female headline films, shows, parts are written. Just like Queen came into the horizon about 10 years ago and completely shifted the paradigm with regard to how women headlined parts can be written. Typically, we see women parts, if they are the headlining parts, to be very, very, very two-dimensional. They're either black or they're white. They're either empowered women who are fighting the cause of justice, they're strong women, or they're just, are sort of women characters who have been written in to support the male character. Maya's character here, and in fact, all the other characters in this particular show have multiple shades. They have many shades of white, many shades of black, and all the colors that lie in the entire spectrum of the rainbow. So we typically don't see these shades written as characters for women because we are so used to being fed on a diet of women that are just beautiful and pure, or then bad girls or villains and vamps. I think there is a lot of exploration in terms of character and layering, which lies in between, that we just don't do for women characters.
But isn't OTT changing all that? On OTT, we see a lot of gray characters, all kinds of shades, actually.
Again, my perspective was more for women headline parts. And then how genre where I'm referring to is women headline parts, where we're really going to see a lot of redefinition in the time to come. And yes, of course, OTT has created a much larger framework for qualitative and quantitative content We have a lot more content being made. We have a lot more different kinds of content now being made, because overall consumption patterns world over in terms of consuming content have now changed.
Uh, you've broken so many stereotypes yourself, you know, in your real life. What if you look back? What do you think were those formative moments which may have defined the choices you've made in your life, which have been far from conventional? I mean, as we understand conventional.
I think as I look back at my early 20s, I was coming into being the person that I am today. A lot of it was happening by default, but some things had begun to happen by design. And I think in the last 20 years, the person that I have become is largely a function of how I've shaped myself, how I've been a goal-oriented person who sets goals that, sometimes everybody questions, including your own family. Be it learning how to fly, why ride a bike,
Yeah.
what's there in studying more. I mean, these are kind of questions that I've been asked by a lot of people, including my own immediate family. But I've chosen to do things a particular way because I feel putting myself in uncomfortable situations is one way to remain agile and remain as somebody who can evolve with time. Because the moment we get comfortable where we are is when stagnation begins, literally and metaphorically. Anybody else who might be watching me at any given point of time, in terms of the manner I conduct myself, in terms of the choices I make, because one doesn't realize that the choices that you make sometimes open the path for somebody else to pursue. Especially when you come from a society that's so deeply patriarchal, when it's actually still patriarchal, despite there being platitudes of feminism and platitudes of equality being shared unequivocally by everybody. But deep down, we're all patriarchal, and I think that's something that we have to consciously and subconsciously fight at all times and at every forum.
But being an army kid defined those choices, or it was largely an individual thing? You were the way
I
you
would
were.
say, I would say where I reached up until, say, my early 20s was certainly a complete and total product of my army upbringing, of the energy
Being.
and the effort my parents put in. But I think there comes a time when you become your own person, and there's an expiry date on when you can keep blaming your parents for your mistakes or allowing them to take credit for your successes, for that matter. So, I think that fine balance in independent people is usually struck sometime in your mid-20s. So, I mean, I'm in no way saying that that I haven't. I mean, that I haven't, benefited from the incredible parents I've had. My father's been an incredible role model. He's somebody who's admired across the board, especially in the Tri-City area, in Chandigarh,
Right.
and I'm aware of the fact that I get a lot of benefit just being his daughter. But I think as parents, and I'm a parent myself, I have to empower my child to be the person who can continue to make good choices, and that really is the test of my parenting. I must instill in my child the values and the worldview that I feel is just, one that is fair, and after that I have to step back and let them walk their own path. And
Well,
that's really what I think I have done to a large extent. I think my parents have given me a tremendous platform in terms of how they brought me up. But what I have done with that platform thereafter is certainly on my own.
but has motherhood changed you?
I think it gives you perspective. It like I said, it allows you to re-examine who you are as a person, and the choices you want to make as a parent, and the kind of an example that you want to set for your child. And going back to the role model conversation that we were having, I think if we all choose to be role models in our public behavior and in our personal behavior. In fact, if
Correct.
we could be the people we pretend to be in public in real life, we would be immensely evolved from our former selves. And that really is what life is all about. I mean, it's to be better than your former self, not your fellow man or fellow woman. You have to be better than the person you were yesterday. And if we can strive to narrow the gap between who we are publicly and who we are in private, I think we will start
Yeah.
the process of truly emancipating ourselves from the things that shackle us.
Would that make us less patriarchal as well, I guess?
Well, considering most of the posturing against patriarchy is largely public, it sounds good to
Yes.
say that, you know, my son and my daughter are the same. I treat my daughter like a son, which I think it in itself is patriarchal. When you try to equate your daughter to a son, I mean, it shouldn't be about having a son or a daughter. It should be about having a child who you must give every possible opportunity to. So yes, I think as we strive to be the same person that we are in private as we are in public, I feel we will be forced to ask those questions of ourselves as well. I mean, and that really has been my approach. My the one big change that came in my life as a parent was making sure that I always conduct myself in a manner, even in my personal life, as a role model. I do not want at any point for my child to evidence a side of me that I'm ashamed of. So it does put a lot of
Well,
pressure. But the thing is, children learn by what you do, not by what you say. And you may
exactly.
tell
In
them
fact,
this is a bad thing, but if you do that thing, you're still normalizing that behavior.
I saw the teaser of the series, and there is one scene where the mother is telling the child that you are not supposed to say it in public, and the child is questioning. I think the lead protagonist probably
I think
is questioning, "Ki
that's
sach
really
kya hai?" Yeah,
that's really
sach
from
kya?
where the dichotomy in our life stems, ma'am. We
Yeah.
we are different people in public and in personal life. And I think if we
Yes.
just apply the role model test, which
Mhm.
is always conduct oneself as a role model for somebody to be watching at any given point of time.
Yes. But and going back to your acting career, it's almost been 2 decades now. You made your presence felt with such good movies like Door and Dhoop. But if you look back, do you think you have reached where you set out to?
By no means. I think I have a long way to go, and I have a lot more
Mm,
to achieve, a lot more goals to set and to achieve in the years to come. But I
mm,
think, given the fact that I see my acting career as one of the things
mm,
I do and not the only
mm,
thing, I would have to
mm,
say I'm deeply grateful for the parts that have been offered, the love and the adulation that comes with it, including but not limited to from the media. I'm deeply grateful that I'm somebody who has pursued my acting career as a
mm,
as one part of who I am, not the whole part of me. Because I fundamentally always believe that I want to use my acting career as an enabler,
mm,
as a platform for doing many other things, be it entrepreneurship, be it
mm,
activism,
mm,
be it making a difference in society in whatever
mm,
way. So for me, my acting career has always been a means to an end, and that end is living life to the fullest. And it's not an end
mm.
in itself.
But doing so many things, is it empowering or is it distracting? And I mean, talking strictly from acting point of view, do makers then tend to take you less seriously because they think Gul is doing so many things?
I think I'm largely cast in the paths that I am now cast because makers are influenced by the person that I am off screen. My off
Mhm.
screen
Okay.
persona is something that a lot of people are aware of. And a lot of the casting choices that have been made in recent times have been makers being heavily influenced by the person that I am in my individual capacity. So, if anything, I think it only adds a dimension to me that people find fascinating. As an actor, I think pursuing different disciplines, different interests, and then seeking a degree of accomplishment across those interests allows me to give more as an actor. Being a pilot helps me be a better actor. I'll give you an
Mhm.
example. The two key
Yes.
things one learns as a pilot, which are applicable across multiple um,
Mm,
fields in life, are prioritization and crisis management. How do you handle a crisis? And
mm,
how do you prioritize your actions? Because so much needs to be done. But when you're flying, there is a sequence of priority. And that is
right.
get back to the ground safely in the event of an emergency.
Mm,
And then the second priority is get the aircraft back safely. And everything is a function of that. So typically we, in a moment of crisis, we are capable of missing the trees for the woods, because we tend to start, becoming myopic in our approach to trying to solve the crisis. Why did it happen? Whose fault was it? And the one thing aviation teaches you is you've got to land the plane. So prioritization and how to handle crisis better. I think those skills come in very handy in any career. And of course, definitely as an actor, certainly as a mother. And I think every interest I pursue outside my profession of being an actor only enriches me as an actor and makes me more diverse as a human being.
But would you say that for your part in Patalok also, because that's so different from who you are in real life?
But that's where the prowess of an actor comes into being.
Right.
Interestingly, some trivia on Patalok. It was based on a character I had already played called Nimi in Manorama 6 Feet Under.
All right.
The writer and the showrunner was very influenced by that film. And his one line brief to me was, "This is an older, albeit more pleasant Nimi." And again, if I couldn't pull off a Patalok competently, as well as I pulled off, say, Saloni's character in Family Man, then I'm not a competent actor. It's not about playing parts that make you look like who you are, that make you make the audience believe that, oh, this is her image. She should only do these empowering parts. The real craft and the test of the craft comes in doing parts which take, which blow your breath away. And I think Patalok is a very prime example of competence. I mean, I'm not gloating here, but I'm just simply saying it was a very well-written part, a part that had a lot of joy in it, because the only source of joy in an otherwise very, very dark series is Renu's character. The only time that there is a smile on Hathiram's face is when he's in his house. And as we embark on season 2 now, I think it will be an interesting journey to dwell into, as to how what does Renu bring to the table in a show like Patalok. And then in one line the answer is, she completes Hathiram. So if Hathiram is the protagonist, then Renu completes his being.
But you've been, of course, part of some very, very successful shows like be it Patalok, Family Man, even Rangbaz. But do you think a real series or a real role that would kind of catapult you onto the real top is still eludes you?
I mean, as opposed to being fake roles like the ones I've played.
No. These are mostly, I mean, here, of course, Elawat walked
I
away with
completely
most
understand your
Lawrence.
innuendo and what you're trying to imply. I think for me, at the risk of repeating myself, I am somebody who does many things. And for me, acting is part of my life. So would I like to do parts where I'm headlining? Absolutely. Am I going to go chasing them and stop everything else? No, I'm not going to do that.
No.
So my life is fulfilling, even in the present moment, and deeply fulfilling. That doesn't mean I'm not ambitious, but my ambition, unfortunately or fortunately, is not limited to being an actor.
Yeah. There are very many.
And I like to believe that, being accomplished across multiple fields is really a skill. And it's something that I tend to chase. And yes, sure, I'd like to do a bigger part. And sure, I'd like to play a cop or a lawyer in an actual courtroom drama, because this show isn't really a courtroom drama, now that I have the skills for it twice over. One as a reasonably experienced actor, and the other one as actually a lawyer. But my point here is, of course, I'd like to, but am I going to stop living because of that? Probably not. I mean, there's more to me than just being defined as an actor. And that's the point I was trying to make earlier.
That's very true. But and another thing you're often defined as is beauty with brains. Do you think that's a very reductionist way of describing you, or you're okay with the compliment?
Well, it is very reductionist, I feel. And the other day, like I mentioned, we've been doing these interviews for a week now, and extremely great the opportunity to come face to face with senior journalists like yourself, that one is able to talk about various aspects of one's life, and those aspects that influenced life, and also talk about the work we do. Otherwise, nobody would know what we're doing. And one conversation that came up was, there was somebody who was introducing me in a show, and he just said, and they're very good looking. I mean, for me, that's, I mean, I could take that as the compliment and dismiss it, but I think I would not lose the opportunity to tell the person that, just introducing somebody as on the basis of what they look like is actually, paying a disservice, is doing a disservice to them. And even if the actor is actually really good looking or attractive, to introduce them, that is just being bankrupt in vocabulary, in my opinion.
Somewhat
I mean,
true. In fact, I was looking.
it's the
Your,
laziest
your
approach. I mean, it's the laziest approach you could possibly take in an interview, that, oh, your beauty with grace, because it's cliche and it's easy. Find something more interesting to do. Do your job, dig up some interesting words from your vocabulary. That's what all of us are doing at any given point of time. We're constantly reinventing. Following cliches, ma'am, is much easier than putting in the effort to really think out of the box and speak out of the box.
But your academic, career or academic vitals, I would say, are very, very impressive. So, what made you turn, from and now recently you said that you have a degree in law as well. So, what made you, shift towards this line of glamour? What was that one moment?
I don't think, ma'am, it was a shift really. I was in my second year of college when I realized that the quickest way I could emancipate myself and stand on my own feet and be the master of my own destiny would be to find some kind of a platform that allows me to instantly launch myself. And I thought the Miss India pageant might be that platform. I was acutely aware that that as a young girl who was studying in college, in fact at the time in Patiala when my father was posted there, I was acutely aware that if I didn't do really well, my father would often threaten me, sometimes in jest and sometimes with a lot of seriousness, that I'm going to marry you off if you don't get your act together. And I used to think that that if I don't get my act together, would he really have married me off? I don't know. I mean, the answer to that is really not with me. But what I would like to say is that I began thinking very deeply about that sometime in my second year of college. And I happened to see the Miss India pageant on television sometime in late 97, and I saw Nafisa Ali win. My apologies, Nafisa Joseph win. And I remember seeing the pageant that day and thinking, I can do that. I bet I could do that. And what made me think was the way she spoke, not the way she looked. I've been, to be fair, over the years, I've been rather indifferent about the way I look because it's transient. It's not going to stay forever. I don't look now like I did 20 years ago. I may be very fit and all of that, but it's transient. The way you look is temporary. But even and that's something that I had a very high degree of awareness for, even back as a 17-year-old. And I remember hearing Nafisa's answer to the question that she was put forward, and I thought to myself, I could do that. I could speak like that. And I started thinking about it, and I spoke to my father, and he seemed very open to the idea, and full credit to him for that, because a lot of parents would have been like, just concentrate on your studies, especially after they've been threatening you to get good marks. Otherwise, I'll marry you off first eligible and willing captain. So in the army, that is. So I think for me, that became a huge motivation that I needed to emancipate myself. I needed to be the master of my own destiny. And my parents supported me incredibly. My father took out all the money in his army savings account and sent me off to shoot some pictures in Bombay, where my cousin lived, and then a significant portion of their savings were used to get me up and ready for Miss India in terms of the clothes and the travel, etc. And then I won. So coming to answer your question, the glamour, approaching glamour was a very studied decision, because I wanted to be able to find myself a platform from where I could do other things. In fact, the girl who was my actual predecessor, Miss India 1998, was Limiranda D'Souza, and she as Miss India, who represented India at the Miss Universe pageant, secured admission for herself in her university, the Hawaii Pacific University, when she was in Hawaii to take part in the Miss Universe pageant. So it entirely depends on what you want to do with that platform. She went on to do 4 years of her undergrad degree in Hawaii Pacific University, and using the platform of being a Miss India. So for me, it was using the platform and seeing what I could do with it. I did not think that I would actually win the pageant, but I just thought just getting there will give me a leg up in, say, pursuing a modeling career, which would give me some money, which would allow me to perhaps do further my education and really give myself more opportunity. So I was seeking opportunities that could give me more opportunities, and I could quickly get standing on my feet. And this really seemed like the quickest exit.
But what would you say to young girls who are largely getting glamour struck?
Well, I think the time today has actually changed. Glamour is in your face, it's in your Instagram, it's in your phone. And one really must, and it's just not about beauty pageants anymore. Beauty pageants, one of the ways to get famous back then, other than being a movie star or a sports star. Today, there are so many ways to get famous. And I think there's so many ways to use interesting platforms to, in fact, creating your own platforms to do what you want to do. So my advice to young people there simply would be look for platforms that can catapult you, that can springboard you into opportunity, because ultimately it's about opportunity. We don't live in a society that has equal opportunity for various reasons. So I think the key here is to seek opportunities. Glamour struck is a phase. I think most young girls will go through a phase where they'll want to dress up, they want to look a particular way, but the kind of pressure young people and older ones actually are under these days because of social media and the unrealistic beauty and life standards, in fact, lifestyle standards that social media is setting through influencers who are putting out images that probably are not even real. That I think everybody is social media struck, of which a small part is being glamour struck.
But as an activist and one who runs an NGO, and as a woman, what do you think is your most pressing concern? An area in which you think more work needs to be done?
I think it remains taking patriarchy head on and decoding feminism. Because I hear appalling things from young women that say things like, I'm a feminist and I make my own money, and what I make is mine, and what my husband or my boyfriend makes is ours. They could not be a more ridiculous statement. And so many young women out there are guilty of making statements like these, because equality, feminism is about equality. Feminism is not about pursuing your passion with lack of responsibility. When you choose to make a life with somebody, you do it together in every means. You don't turn around and say, I do a job because I choose to do a job, and what I earn becomes my money, whereas what you earn is what we must live with. So ideas like these need to be busted just as much as patriarchy. Selective feminism, selective application of equality. Equality must be equal in the truest sense of the word. So while I would like to definitely highlight the areas of patriarchy that keep impinging onto our lives, and you've got to fight back, because it's a hydra-headed monster. It comes up from, you cut its head off from here, it pops up from somewhere else.
Yeah.
But you also at the same time have to call out misplaced feminism by people who call themselves feminists and say things like these. And I think ultimately patriarchy doesn't only harm women, it also harms men, because it puts disproportionate burden of life on men. That men must be the breadwinners, that men must be primary caregivers, in terms of building a home and a network. Of course, it's the women are often told, just be a mother and that's all that you're supposed to do. But a man then typically takes a disproportionate burden of running the family. From a 15-year-old boy, you make him aware of the fact that he must get a job, he must get ready to lead a family, but you don't tell your daughters that. So you're putting undue pressure on boys as well. And then with that come things like, boys shouldn't show their emotions, and boys shouldn't cry, and boys should speak their true feelings, because patriarchy is a is an equal opportunity monster. It attacks men insidiously
Mm.
and it attacks
Mm.
women openly. But it
Wow,
definitely
overtly.
is not good for men either. In today's day and
Yes.
age, women are independent, they are competent, they are capable, they are accomplished. They should be picking up half the burden of building a life.
Yeah, sure. And they are, they are. I can't resist asking you a question on Punjab. You studied in Punjab. You're a, you know, blue-blooded Punjabi. So one thing quintessentially Punjabi about you. Since you're not
Uh,
a foodie, don't say food.
well, I think quintessentially Punjabi about me is that I'm brave,
Mm.
that I take challenges head on, which is very intrinsic to the culture of what makes Punjabis Punjabis. I mean, they're
Mm.
gregarious, they're outgoing, they're happy people because over millennia, they've been people who fought back
Mm.
and fought for others. So I think I would say that I'm a true blue Punjabi because I believe in fighting for myself and I also believe in fighting for others. I'm brave.
Yeah, and coming back to the show, Good Bad Girl, would you say that defines you in some way or not?
I hope not. I think I'm much more than
Uh,
any part can possibly define me. And like I
mm.
said, my acting career
Mm.
collectively is not something that defines me. So one part certainly is not going to cut it. I'm
Mm.
much more than an actor, and I'm not afraid to admit it. And I do hope that people enjoy this show, and I would like to encourage younger people
Mm.
out there to not hesitate to pursue a variety of interests, because the more interests you pursue makes you a richer person, which eventually contributes towards the quality of work you do as an actor. So always always sort of go ahead, pursue all the different opportunities that come your way, all the things
Mm.
that do come your way, and don't let anybody tell you that just focus on acting, don't do anything else, because it's the other things that you do that make you a better actor.
And last word on the show, and why should your fans be watching it?
I think the show should be watched because it has terrific writing. It has terrific performances by Vaibhav Rajgupta of Gullak and Samriddhi Devan, who plays the title part in this show, Maya. It's quirky, it's different, and if you have an appetite for a little um, funny story that borders on dark, then this is
Mm.
your show. It is certainly not
Sure.
conventional, and it's certainly not what you'd see every day on your OTTs. It's definitely a class apart, and I do hope the audiences enjoy watching it. Thank you so
So,
much.
so much. Thank you so much.